Welcome to 2 Cents Short of a Dollar, the show where we give our 2 cents and keep it 100. We're your hosts. That's Motiz, and I'm Rue. Let's waste no time. I want to get it right into this fight. One of the most coveted fights in boxing. Artur Beterbiev, 3-belt holder versus Dmitry Bivol, WBA. Nevertheless, undisputed, it's going down later today. Riyadh season, right? So before we get into like predictions, I just want to know, what about this fight excites you?
Man, I think everything about the fight excites me. I think it was just a build up, right? We have two, not necessarily to the casual scene, right? Because most casuals don't know who Arthur or Bivol. Some may know Bivol because of his fight with Canelo, but in terms of hardcore boxing fans or true boxing fans, this is a fight that's kind of just been building up over the years between two of clearly the best fighters within their own division, and this is the best fight to make, right? We've seen the Crawford Spence fight, right? We've seen, Tank versus Ryan. We've seen some highly coveted fights, but this fight right here, I think, is one of the better fights in the sense of it's probably closer to a 50-50 fight, even probably closer to a 50-50 fight than we've seen with Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, at the time that they fought. I think this fight is gonna I think the realization of this fight is really going to live up to the expectation. That's what excites me the most because I know it's going to be fireworks.
Yeah, now I agree with you, and then I think what excites me about this fight is I think people are underestimating both guys in the sense of people are like, oh, Bivol's the boxer, but Bivol also has a very stiff jab, and Bivol has power, right? But it's because he's kind of always on his toes, bouncing back and forth with that rhythm that he's not really sitting down on his punches. But when he does sit down on those punches, he does hurt guys, So there's power there, and people look at Artur Beterbiev like, oh yeah, he's just a brute force. He's just like looking to knock people out. But if you really watch him, like the dude is boxing, right? There's movement there. He's setting up his shots, So like both guys are great boxers. Both guys pack power. Obviously, one guy packs more power, right? But both guys are very great boxers. There's a familiarity with one another. I think they were on the same national team at some point in time. But Beterbiev has confirmed that they have sparred previously. Obviously, he didn't talk about how the sparring went. So
Yeah, he
there's
said
some
he doesn't really recall. He said he doesn't really
yeah,
recall.
yeah. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. But yeah, so like I said, there's a familiarity there. Both guys, English isn't their first language, clearly, right? But so it wasn't the most trash talk, but you can feel how tense it was, right? Even when like Eddie Hearn tried to jump in, he tried to do some promotion, and Beterbiev was just like checking him, like, "What's up with you?" It's like, he was like, yeah, you got to worry about Bivol." He's like, "Oh, we gonna see." We gonna see, and that I feel like that was one of the most threatening "we gonna sees" I've ever seen from someone. Yeah.
1,000%. So I guess just to kind of really get into before we kind of get into the prediction, I want to ask you, right? First, let's start with Bivol. What do you think is the one thing outside of the power that Bivol needs to watch out for in this fight, right? What is something that Bivol needs to really identify to be successful, and the same for Arthur?
Well, for Bivol, right, outside of the power, I think he has to. I think that balance, that rhythm, I think he has to like mix it up, right? Obviously, that's how
Mhm.
he fights, so he's gonna have to do that, but he's gonna have to make Artur in return respect his power just to keep him off of him, right? Just because,
Mhm.
if a guy's just walking you down and you're continuously on the back foot, the judges can view that as he's controlling and dictating the fight. He has the ring generalship, right? So you're gonna have to
Right.
find a way to either back him up or keep him stationary in the middle of the ring where you guys can fight in the middle of the ring, just so he's
Mhm.
not just keep invading your space, suffocating you. You know what I mean? So I think
Right.
just because, Beterbiev, he's strategic in the way he closes that distance. You know what I mean? So that's what Bifo has to worry about. I think for Artur, he has to, just for him, figure out how to make the fight a little ugly, right? He
Mhm.
doesn't want it to be a super clean fight. You want to get it into close quarters, get Bivol's back against the ropes, and just don't let him sit there and just do that jab. And I think what's interesting about both guys, they both punch through the guard in different regards, right?
Mhm.
Bivol, boom, boom, like 1-1, 2 through the guard. Beterbiev will knock you out through the guard. You know what I'm saying? So whose guard is going to be able to withstand the test more? You know what I'm saying? I think that's going to be big in this fight.
Yeah, 100%. Those are definitely good points, especially with, Bivol's style being in his volume, right? We know Bivol throws a lot of punches. His conditioning is going to have to be top tier for this fight. And I think Arthur for sure is going to have to be careful not walking into some punches because, like you said, Bivol got some pop. You know what I mean? Like, definitely got some pop,
Yeah.
respectable power as well. It's just a matter of just who's willing to break first. And I think with Arthur, in his case, he has more upside in terms of, walking Bivol down, trying to break him, punching his arms, punching his hips, right? Slowly breaking him down. It's just a matter of just whether or not Bivol has enough, conditioning to kind of keep, Arthur off of him with his power and also have enough legs throughout the fight to really, either hurt him and get him out of it or really just, last for the 12 rounds. But, I think it's going to be a really, really tough fight, man. Real tough fight for both sides.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one, right? And just a couple things. I've been watching Beterbiev. He doesn't necessarily seem like, we won't know until it's real time at the highest level, but the knee injury doesn't seem to be bothering him, right? He looks good.
I don't know, bro. I like when I was watching his workout, he wasn't moving as much. And what I did was I went and watched his old media workout, right? And he wasn't moving as much, and that's kind of like, to be honest, I think that's concerning. Like, and let's say, for instance, he probably was a little reserved, right? He probably just didn't want to go out there. But when you have a ruptured ligament in your knee, and usually they say it takes like 8 weeks to heal, right? But you're also training, right, to get full recovery. He's also older, right? So that recovery is going to take a lot longer. So I feel like him sustaining this type of injury in his knee, which plays a big role in how you throw your punches, power. I think this is going to play a significant role in this fight, especially when we start going into the later rounds. And I think if Bivol has a chance of beating Arthur, it's definitely this time.
Gotcha.
This right here for me levels the playing field for me. Honestly, it truly does.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, he was looking strong in my opinion. I mean, he always looks strong, right? Good condition, great physique. Speaking of physique, Keyshawn Davis, was trying to allude to Artur Beterbiev not being natural. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, I didn't see that. So what did he say?
They were asking about the fight. He was like, "Well, if Beterbiev comes natural, if you know what I mean, and he doesn't come in unnatural, then Bivol is going to win." So he was alluding to him being, using banned substances. But nevertheless, at the weigh-in, bro, they both look strong. They both look chiseled. You know what I'm saying? So whatever people want to say is whatever they're going to say. No one failed the drug test here thus far, right? I'm sure there'll be a post-fight test as well. But, what people came here for, the predictions. So for this fight, and it sounded like what you were saying is previously you had Beterbiev. You may still have Beterbiev. I'm not taking that away from you, but you said the knee leveled the playing field. So just how do you see this one playing out now?
Yeah, initially, like, I had better be, Arthur beating Bivol, like KO TKO easily, right? Like, I didn't think it was close. But with two factors, right? With the knee injury and with the layoff, right? Because Bivol got a tune-up in between. That plays a big role. And we seen what happened the last summer. We had two juggernauts face each other, and one fighter gets a tune-up and the other didn't. And that plays a role. We've heard many fighters say it. Shakur Stevenson, sometimes your senses is off, your timing is off. So I think that's going to play a role. So I think this fight is really leveled to the point now I'm really like, it's hard for me to choose like who I think is going to win this fight now, but because I've already sided with Arthur previously, I'm going to go with Arthur TKO late round, maybe round 9 TKO Arthur. I think he's going to probably get a stoppage, but I would not be surprised if Bivol wins, right? Because like I said before, with everything, all the context that's in place, I would not be surprised if Bivol pulls it out for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, Bivol is like one of the purest of pure boxers, right? But I do think he has to be a purely outbox Beterbiev for 12 rounds, which is difficult, right? Especially with this guy, because like this guy is not all clean shots, right? I've said before, Joe Smith took the cleanest shots from Beterbiev, and we see how that ended, right? But a
Right.
lot of times he's punching through the guard, you're going down through the guard, like he just hits so hard. There's testimonies about it, but I see this fight. I see Bivol outboxing him early. I do see Beterbiev trying to close the gap, having
Mhm.
to eat some of those jabs. I'll go as far as to say I think Beterbiev might go down in one of the early rounds, but I think he'll get
Okay.
back up, more so of a flash knockdown. And I will
Mhm.
say through 8 rounds, I have Bivol winning 5 rounds to 3.
Mhm.
Then what I see is a real tight ninth round that can go either way before the 10th round comes, where I got Beterbiev ultimately getting the stoppage in the 10th round.
Mhm.
I think as the fight goes on, he's going to continue to get stronger, more motivated. I think Bivol's going to continue to do what he does, but I think Beterbiev's going to find ways to close that distance, close that gap. Going to kind of, okay, I understand what level of that jab I can take and how I can kind of minimize the risk and get in there. And I think, he's going to start landing some of those big shots, and I think they're going to start to weigh him down throughout the course of the fight. Like you mentioned,
Yeah.
arms, hips, some of the body work.
Yeah.
I got Beterbiev, man. I'm gonna go 10th round stoppage in this one. I got him being undisputed. No knock on Bivol. I think Bivol's an excellent fighter. I just think, man, pound for pound, this guy is one of the biggest punchers we ever seen. But it's not just the punching power; it's how he's setting those shots up, and I don't think people give him enough credit for that.
Absolutely. He has an impeccable amateur record. He's dropped Usyk numerous of times. They even said I think he damaged or broke Kovalev's ribs in the amateurs as well. So like he has a great amateur pedigree. He has the experience. His IQ is pretty high, like you said. And I think he's gonna do a great job of cutting off the ring. Like I said before, I do have some concerns, right, going into the fight, but like you said, it's whether or not Bivol can sustain that punishment, and we haven't seen anyone do it thus far. So why would he be the exception at this point, right? So, and I think ultimately, like you, Beterbiev is gonna. I think he's gonna break him down. He ultimately is going. That power is gonna come through for him. So, but
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
see.
Okay. Make sure you guys jump in the comment section. Tell us who you think is going to win this fight and how. Beterbiev, Bivol at the lightweight division, undisputed, probably the best lightweight matchup in some time, right?